a powerful Khmer king who rebuilds his empire after war. He constructs Angkor Thom, Bayon Temple, and a network of roads and hospitals, transforming the Khmer Empire into a golden age of culture and architecture. In the annals of Southeast Asian history, few names resonate with as much power and reverence as Jayavarman VII. His reign marked not just a period of military recovery, but a profound spiritual and cultural transformation that reshaped the Khmer Empire. Emerging from the ashes of invasion and internal strife, Jayavarman VII ascended the throne with a vision that extended far beyond mere conquest. He was a king driven by a deep sense of compassion and a monumental ambition to build a kingdom that would serve its people, heal its wounds, and stand as a testament to the glory of the Khmer civilization for all time. This was not just a king. He was a builder, a philosopher, and a father to his nation, whose legacy is etched into the very stones of Cambodia. The path to Jayavarman VII's ascension was forged in conflict. The Khmer Empire, a dominant force in the region for centuries, faced its most dire existential threat in the latter half of the 12th century. The neighboring kingdom of Champa, located in what is now modern-day Vietnam, launched a devastating naval invasion in 1177, sailing up the Mekong River and across the Great Tonle Sap Lake. The Kham forces sacked the Khmer capital of Yesadarapura, the heart of what we now know as Angkor. The city was plundered, its king was killed, and the empire was plunged into chaos. It was a moment of profound humiliation and disarray for a civilization that had long considered itself invincible. From this turmoil, a prince named Jayavarman emerged. He had spent years in exile, possibly even in Champa itself, which gave him a unique understanding of his adversary. Returning to his ravaged homeland, he rallied the fragmented Khmer armies. He was a brilliant military strategist, and over the course of several years, he methodically pushed back the Kham invaders, culminating in a decisive naval victory on the Tonle Sap. By Bayo, he had successfully liberated his kingdom, avenged the defeat, and was crowned King Jayavarman VII. But his victory on the battlefield was only the beginning of his true life's work. The war had exposed the vulnerability of the old capital and the fragility of the empire. He knew that to secure the future, he could not simply rebuild what was lost. He had to create something entirely new, something grander and more resilient. Jayavarman VII's first, and perhaps most ambitious project, was the construction of an entirely new capital city. Angkor Thom, meaning great city. This was not just a royal palace. It was a sprawling, fortified metropolis designed to be the administrative, military, and spiritual center of the empire, enclosed by an 8-meter-high laterite wall and a massive, 100-meter-wide moat. Angkor Thom was a symbol of impenetrable strength and divine order. The city was laid out on a perfect grid, with 5 monumental gates providing access. Each gate was a masterpiece of sculpture, crowned with 4 gigantic, serene faces pointing to the cardinal directions, believed to represent either the Bodhisattva, Lakshuvara, or the king himself as a living embodiment of divine compassion. At the exact geometric center of this magnificent city, Jayavarman VII built his state temple. The Bayon, unlike the earlier Khmer temples, dedicated to Hindu gods, like Shiva or Vishnu, the Bayon was a monument to Mahayana Buddhism, the faith the king had embraced. The Bayon is an architectural marvel, a mountain of stone towers that seems to rise organically from the jungle. Its most iconic feature is the 216 enormous, smiling faces carved onto its 54 towers. These enigmatic visages, with their gentle smiles and downcast eyes, project an aura of profound peace and omniscience. They are thought to represent the Bodhisattva of compassion, watching over every corner of the kingdom, extending the king's benevolent gaze to all his subjects. Walking through the Bayon is a surreal, almost mystical experience, as if one is being observed and protected by the divine from every angle. It was a powerful statement of Jayavarman VII's new state ideology, a kingdom governed not by the distant power of Hindu deities, but by the active, all-encompassing compassion of a Buddha. The king's building frenzy did not stop with his capital. He initiated a public works program of unprecedented scale, driven by his Buddhist faith and a genuine concern for the welfare of his people. He understood that a strong empire was not just built on stone temples but on the well-being of its citizens. To this end, he ordered the construction of a vast network of infrastructure that connected the far-flung provinces of his empire. Over 1,200 kilometers of raised highways were built, complete with bridges, allowing for the rapid movement of troops, trade, and communication across the kingdom. Dotted along these roads, at regular intervals, were 121 rest houses, or houses with fire, which provided shelter and sustenance for travelers, merchants, and royal messengers. This network was the circulatory system of the empire, binding it together and fostering a sense of unity and shared prosperity. Perhaps the most remarkable testament to his compassionate rule was the establishment of a network of 102 hospitals, biogaphies. These were distributed throughout the empire, each with its own staff of doctors, nurses, and pharmacists, and endowed with supplies of food and medicine. Inscriptions found at these sites detail the number of staff and the specific provisions indicating a highly organized and state-funded healthcare system, an astonishing achievement for the 12th century. The inscriptions often begin with a prayer for the sick, reflecting the king's belief that the suffering of his subjects constituted his own suffering. This was a revolutionary concept of kingship, where the monarch's duty was not just to rule, but to heal and care for his people. Jayavarman VII was not just building an empire of stone, but an empire of care. Jayavarman VII's reign, which lasted for over 3 decades until his death around 1218, is widely considered the final golden age of the Khmer Empire. His prolific building projects, including not only Angkor Thom and the Bayon, but also other magnificent temples like Thom. However, this golden age came at an immense cost. The sheer scale and speed of his construction projects would have placed an enormous strain on the empire's resources and its population. Scholars believe that the immense expenditure on these monumental works may have ultimately exhausted the state treasury and contributed to the gradual decline of the empire in the centuries that followed. After his death, the empire slowly reverted to Hinduism, and the great Buddhist building programs ceased. The memory of his compassionate vision faded, and his magnificent cities were eventually reclaimed by the jungle, lying dormant for centuries until their rediscovery. Despite the eventual decline of the empire, the legacy of Jayavarman VII is indelible. He was a visionary leader who responded to a national crisis with an unparalleled burst of creative and spiritual energy. He inherited a kingdom in ruins and left behind an empire adorned with some of the most breathtaking architectural wonders the world has ever seen. His constructions were not mere displays of power, but physical manifestations of a profound philosophy of compassion and service. Today, as millions of visitors stand in awe before the serene faces of the Bayon, or walk the hallowed grounds of Angkor Thom, they are bearing witness to the enduring vision of this great Khmer builder. He constructed Angkor Thom, Bayon Temple, and a network of roads and hospitals, transforming the Khmer Empire into a golden age of culture and architecture.